If the Sally Jones of the world are listening right now, Sally Jones is the person that people want to work with because of the brand that you've built up yourself.
Hello and welcome to episode 57 of the Smart Agents Podcast. My name is Michael Walter and I'll be your host. In today's episode, we are joined by real estate professional and brand strategist Ed Stulak. With his extensive knowledge of social media marketing, specifically on Instagram, Ed can be found speaking on a worldwide stage, sharing his tips for growing an online brand. Throughout our conversation, we talk not only about creating viral content, but also really honing in on your intended audience. Now, before we get on to the day's featured interview, make sure to subscribe to the Smart Agents Podcast. You can find the show on all major podcasting platforms such as Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and now Amazon Music. Also, as you can see if you're watching this on YouTube, make sure to subscribe to the Smart Agents YouTube channel. Click the bell to get notifications when each new episode is uploaded. And lastly, if you or somebody else on your team has an awesome story or tip to share with our community, send us a message at feedback@smartagents.com. We're always on the lookout for new stories to share. All right, let's get on to the day's featured interview with Ed Stulak. I've included links to his Instagram page in the episode description. Yeah, we'll just kind of fire away. So really, the way I start everything out is if you could introduce yourself a little bit, tell me where you're at and how you got into real estate.
My name is Ed Stulak. I'm a real estate agent and brand strategist for realtors worldwide. I got into real estate about 6 years ago. This was around 2014, 15-ish timeframe. And I was just getting into it just because all my other ventures never really made the capital that I desired. Which was social media, by the way. I was into marketing, branding. I was helping influencers, celebrities, but I learned a lot. It was great. Knowledge-based, more than I could ask for, but income was not there. So I had to get into something that I enjoyed. Personally, I like dressing up. I like being my own boss and all this fun jazz that other realtors say. And so I said, all right, let me get into real estate. Only for me to find out when I got into real estate, realtors are not good with social media. That's what I've been doing for so many years now. So Let me be guide. Let me be that guidance. Let me be that shed of light for them to teach them how to use social media, how to utilize it, improve your brand, grow a brand, and so much more. So I got into it a while ago, but that's kind of like the back end story as to where I am today.
Yeah. So when you got into it and you were seeing that, hey, the real estate, overall, the real estate social media presence is lacking. What were you really seeing that kind of was the red flags right out of the gate?
Realtors were constantly trying to get a sale. Yeah. I know we're in the sales game. Don't get me wrong. It's nice, but that shouldn't be our only intention on social media, a platform where you should be sociable. And in order to create social conversations, you should create something that's not trying to shove a service down someone's throat, and that's where I realized realtors need to step back, focus on improving and impressing their consumers, their audience, their followers, their people that they're connecting with online. And what better way to start up a conversation than wanting to make a consumer want to reach out to you, want to approach you and start up a conversation versus you trying to get a sale, trying to say, hey, new listing, just sold. If you're looking for a house, if you're looking to sell, they're not going to approach you. They don't want to be sold to. No one wants to be sold to. I don't want to be sold to. I'm sure you don't want to be sold to. People don't like that.
Right.
Want to buy, make that happen. And that's by being more so your personal brand, being authentic, being real, being the true you, and making just smooth commonality type questions or captions and engaging content to make someone want to reach out. That's pretty much what I saw that was going to need it to be tweaked, and I'm going to be the one doing it. That's it.
Right. Well, and all day long we're all getting email blasts from different companies. We're getting on social media now. There's so many ads that it is sometimes hard to differentiate if everything on there is, hey, just listed, use my services, all this. It's hard to differentiate. Did I just see an ad or is it something that I actually want to interact with?
Definitely, 100%. There's so much going on out there right now that you just can't differentiate. It's tough to do so. And the advertisements, they're all over the place. That's another ball game.
Right. So when you got into actual real estate, what were you doing social media wise to start gaining those clients?
I was showcasing the new rebrand that I was in transition of doing at that time. For the years before real estate, it was social media, marketing, branding guy, entrepreneur, guy who dressed up, guy who was inspirational and motivational in some sense. Had a business, I think. I don't know. that was my character, my avatar. But then when I got into real estate, I realized all those elements that I had pertaining to that avatar pre-real estate will probably also work in real estate. Let me apply them to the real estate avatar now, this new rebranded Ed Stulak, and see if it's going to work, if it's going to get a push or a pull. But I also realized I have to stop talking about myself so much. No one cares. That is the truth. No one really, really cares. Let me give them something they care about. And I realized in real estate, what do people want to learn? Probably about real estate. Consumers want to know how to buy a house. Sellers want to know how to sell a house. They want to know the process, teach them a little bit, things of that sort. But I implemented so much of my past, 10 years of just social media, that I realized my new avatar, my new ideal audience and target ideal client is going to be a realtor. So I need to give them something. So I started teaching realtors on social media, about branding, about Instagram, about the algorithms, about strategies, lead gen, consecration, you name it. So I went from a very me era to a very you, which will, at the end of the day, still, benefit me.
Right. Well, and you talk about that avatar and creating that avatar for yourself. I think a lot of people kind of sometimes, it can be hard to do that. So how do you figure out that who's my online persona going to be?
Love it. And that's a question that stems off of the first initial brand strategy session that you have with yourself. When you sit down and say, who the hell am I? Who am I as a person? And yes, these are corny questions you ask yourself. However, they're very true, and they are what builds up this personal brand to hopefully be a success down the line 4 years from now, 10 years from now, 20 years from now, so people remember you. People remember John Smith, Sally Jones. They have to remember that name. And how else and how better else to make sure that happens other than building a strong foundation right off the bat. So it really comes down to the core elements of who am I? What do I enjoy? What do I like talking about? What do I like sharing? What do I think on a daily basis about? And how can I implement that into my brand? So personally, I know I love social media, love Instagram, love branding. This is stuff that I naturally talk about. And I can talk about this with you all day long. We don't have enough time on this podcast for talk about. But if I know I like talking about that stuff, then I got to put it into my brand. And that's exactly what I did. Now when I go on social media, it's not like pulling teeth. Hey, Ed, you got to post something. No, it's, oh, damn, I can't wait to talk about this new algorithm about like the IG Reels, for example. I can't wait to talk about it. And then it comes natural, and then people reach out to me, and then I get a sale at the end of the day because I enjoy what I talk about. So it comes down to passion again. So now it's just, again, back to the foundation of what you're building for your brand. You got to know who you are inside. What do you love talking about? What do you enjoy? Are you a family person? Do you like vacations? Are you a hunter? Are you a musician? What are you? And how can you implement that into your business in some sense or form? And people will love you so much for that because it's authentic, because it's real.
Right. And, by doing that, you're kind of creating that client base of people that you want to work with. And then you're enjoying yourself too. It's not a slog. You're not, it's not that punching in, okay, 8:00, I got to make this post.
That's it. It's not a job at that point. That's my point here, is to really have like a successful brand and have better results that you're really, really striving for at the end of the day. Make sure you're actually passionate about your own brand. Because then at that point, what's the point of pushing it or exposing it or giving it brand awareness that it deserves? You don't want to make it feel like a job. You want to make it feel like it's a very natural part of life. It's a habit.
Right. And, talking about those algorithms and things like that. And I've talked to a lot of other people, and, some people are very regimented in here's my schedule. And then other people are very organic with it. What's your kind of, where do you fall within that?
From my perception, you have two types of people, two types of individuals that take on the social media world. The A-type personality, which is this has got to be done Sunday from 1 to 3 o'clock. This is when content will be created. This is when I'll post. And Tuesday will be the next one. You have that type of person. But then you have the second type of person, which I don't know what kind of type it is. It's a creative type. It's a very all over the place type. And that is a category I personally fall into. I cannot organize my things. I cannot set a time for my creativity to turn on. It turns on when it turns on. I can't control it. So when it does happen, sometimes it'll hit me at 2 o'clock in the afternoon in the middle of a showing. And I'm like, Jesus Christ. Now, like, okay, let me write a note at least so I remember it. Or it might hit me at 2 a.m., and if it does, I want to make sure I utilize it and take advantage of that. And I feel like that's when the best content for me just stirs up. And I'll give you one example. I was just at an event last night. I'm here in Connecticut, and I was talking to the audience, and they were asking me like about a success story that I had with content, if ever. It was the common question: do I have to invest my time to create content? How much time does it take? Is it even worth it? Yes, the answer is yes, it does. It is worth it. Yes, it takes time, but it's worth it. And so my success story: once I was in my living room hanging out. It was night. I was in my pajamas. I was like out for the day. And I heard this song on TV come on, and I heard it. I'm thinking that could be a funny TikTok. If I how tweak it, put some font on it, and talk badly about real estate, something realtors can relate to. Let me see if I can go ahead and create that. And I was in my pajamas. I was just saying, let me just film something just so I know when the time comes for me to actually be in the presence and the energy and, have not in PJs. Let me just film it now for the idea, and I'll film it later on, like tomorrow maybe. So I filmed it real quick so I don't forget. And it took me about, I want to say no more than 5 minutes to film. It took me another real quick, like 7 minutes to put some font on it so I don't forget. Again, this was all just for an idea. And then I looked at it once I was done with it, and I was like, what, screw it. It looks not that bad, to be honest. Let me just post it. And I posted it, and it got over 200,000 views on TikTok. Over 200,000 views on TikTok. And out of those 200,000 views, I know a bunch of realtors related to that content. They reached out to me. They said, I love that. That's hilarious. I'm going to share it with my friends, with my colleagues, with my broker. And because of that one little video right there, I had a realtor reach out to me and said, I'm curious about your team and your brokerage that you're working on. Can we chat for a sec? Because like I would love to be a part of your team. Just from that one video, which took me no more than 15 minutes to go ahead and film and edit. So right. Is content worth it? I highly believe so, yes.
Right. Well, and in that case, your investment was 15 minutes. I mean, your return on investment's like astronomical.
Yes, the ROI was 100% there. But then again, because I was so in the creative zone at that time, I was not going to turn it off. I just can't. I can't plan something like that. It's very hard for me. If it's in the moment, it's in the moment. I got to do it. And personally, I found more success that way versus sitting down and saying, all right, guys, let's brainstorm, like that.
Right. So with these platforms, everything is always changing. How important is it to be on top of the new updates that an Instagram or a TikTok or any of those come out with? Because those are the things that you really need to capitalize on when they do launch.
For those who are interested and serious about their brand and their social media presence, I think it's definitely important to understand and know what the updates are. Just like any normal realtor should know about the interest rates, about the market, you just should know the updates. So yeah, it's nice to know, but here's the thing. Not many people know what the actual true updates are of social media, the algorithms, the whole, techie side of things, because they don't care, number one, but for two, they don't know how to access that information because it's just not in their realm. They're not department. Their department is not to learn about the social media world and the metrics and the analytics and how things work. how will my marketing on those platforms work? That's where their mind's at, and I don't blame them for it. So it's important to know about the updates. And again, that's why I encourage people come to me. I have my ins with Instagram. I talk to them. They tell me what updates are, and I want to make sure I take that knowledge and give it to realtors. So I know this stuff just because of the connections I've built up over the years. I have other influencers and other celebrities that have built up hundreds of thousands of followers, and they know something. They know a lot, actually, and they have teams that help them with this stuff. So I take that knowledge and I give it to the realtors, which don't really know where else to go. Let me be that shed of light. Let me be that guidance. Again, I know it's a lot to take in, algorithms, how it works. It's all messy, but yeah, it's important to know the updates. It is. You want to make sure you know when to post, how to post, where should I even post? Should I post to IG Reel or IGTV? What's the difference?
Right.
Well, I'll tell you.
So when, so now that you have gotten into this real estate world and you're doing, I mean, you're constantly speaking with different groups. What are you doing now? Like, how's that really kind of gone on? Like you said, you're in Connecticut right now and speaking at events.
Yeah, so I'm speaking I was just at an event last night and just speaking about, again, social media, personal branding to other realtors that are really serious about their own brands, because they understand that it's not only about selling. There's so much more. So these are the audiences that I enjoy speaking in front of, those who are open-minded. I'm going to Florida next week, to Orlando, to speak in front of the Florida Association over there. That's going to be a blast. I'm excited to do that. I love speaking in front of people. I love and entertaining, making people laugh and smile. I enjoy that stuff so much. So I was last year was definitely, it took a hit on the whole speaking realm side of things, but everything did transition over to the Zoom world. And that allowed me to enter markets that I didn't really think I would enter. Manila, Philippines. I spoke in, over in Malta. I spoke in Malta in front of the Malta realtors over there as well. I hit parts of Europe that I didn't really think I would hit, but it allowed me to really expand my horizons and my thoughts on who else can I really teach in this world. So, and it goes to show realtors from America to South America, all the way across the country and the nation and the world to the other side, over to Europe and Asia, they all want the same thing. How can I grow my brand? How can I grow my social media to help it grow my business?
Yeah. When you're at these events and these people you're talking to, are you, as social media becomes a bigger and bigger and bigger marketing tool for people, and I feel like it's always been there, but it just took a long time for people to catch up to it and start utilizing it the right way. So now that there are companies that really are pushing it, are you starting to see more and more of these groups and these team leads coming, for your, the services like you provide to say, hey, we need to get our team up and running or we're going to get left behind?
Definitely. They come because they understand what the future holds for that business, for that brand. I've had teams that are coming to me and saying that we don't really have a logo. We don't really have the team name kind of thing. We just sell. And it's nice, but you should really put a face on that and a voice on that team. So you need to come up with a logo. You need to have a brand. You need to have something that you can go ahead and represent. What is that jersey you're going to throw over and say, this is us? This is who we are. This is how we market and advertise ourselves, online, offline too. So yeah, there's a lot of teams that are starting to understand. And I think most realtors, most teams already know that. They just don't know how to pull the trigger properly on their brand to make it really, really stand out and work. Because a lot of people think let me just call it the John Smith team. Just put a J, put an S, and done. But there's so much more, psychologically even speaking, to a brand that is going to help it stick out from the next Joe Schmo realtor.
Right. When you were working with, previous to coming into real estate and working with these influencers and celebrities, that idea of having a brand, it's not just, Brad Pitt, the actor. It's everything that is associated with Brad Pitt that is the brand. Athletes now, like when you look at, you're not just the guy that plays for the New York Jets. You are Zach Wilson. I can go anywhere, and so having it's so much more than just your name anymore. It's that whole brand building. And I think that is starting to trickle into real estate more and more.
When I give this example, and I'm glad you brought it up, celebrities now, big high entities, reputable entities in the sports world, or maybe in the movie world, in the whole cinema, the examples I like to give, for example, are Matthew McConaughey, a man who's been in several movies and several films. He's a phenomenal person, great actor. I personally love his talent and all. He's great at it. He just wrote a book because he can. He is representing Lincoln, the car company, because he can. People come to him and ask for ABC because he can. The brand he's built up himself, he just can do what he wants. He can go ahead and create a water bottle company and start selling it. He can. Why? Because he can. Another person, Kylie Jenner. Another person, she is a huge name. I always talk about her because her name, her reputation, super high end. Everyone knows about it, whether you like it or you don't. You kind of know about her. But she also has a company called Kylie Cosmetics. Kylie Cosmetics is all about cosmetics, the beauty world for the women, and so on and so forth. And that business of hers, she created because, again, she can. I love the fact that when one builds a brand, they can really push it in any direction they wish to do so. Zach Wilson, I don't know football, but I'm sure if his name continues to become more prosperous, become even more, I'm sure he can go ahead and do the same thing, create a water bottle company if he wishes to do so, because it's Zach Wilson, right? So, and I relate that to the sports world as well. LeBron James was at Cleveland Cavaliers, right? Mm-hmm. He then switched over to LA Lakers. But the people that loved LeBron still till today, they enjoyed his brand. They enjoyed his talent that he brought to Cleveland, and they transitioned with him because the brand is what really intrigued people and the audience and the fans and so on and so forth. So though they might have not liked Cleveland, they liked it because, LeBron's on there. I love now Cleveland. LeBron's now at Lakers. I love Lakers. Those are teams, yes, that you throw on the jersey and you represent. But at the end of the day, you've got to represent your own name. You 100% represent your own name. So this is what I tell realtors. Now, going into the real estate world, stepping into that real quick, realtors have their own name, have their own jersey that they got to throw on and wear and represent like no other, because that's the name that people go after.
Right. Absolutely. I think it's, you can't hide behind that, your brokerage logo, or, there's some mega companies out there, and you can't just say I'm with Remax or I'm with so-and-so. I'm Joe Smith. I also happen to work at Remax. Mm-hmm. You have that, your name has to be the first thing that people hear.
That's it. And listen, in my 6 years of being in real estate, I've switched agencies 5 times, but not once did I really super hardcore represent the agency I was with. I mentioned it. Sure, I had it in my bio. Sure, I talked about it. Sure, I said, hey, I'm Ed with, ABC. But it was Ed Stulak. It was that name that people wanted to work with. And same thing goes for anyone else out there. If the Sally Jones of the world are listening right now, Sally Jones is the person that people want to work with because of the brand that you've built up yourself. You are that, let's just say, family girl. You love your family. You love your 2 kids. You love your husband. You love your little poodle. You love your house. You love that. I want to work with her because she seems like she knows what she's doing. I don't care where she works. Remax, Keller Williams, Real EXP, Sotheby's, I don't care. I like her. I want to work with her. You got to make people want to do that.
Right. Awesome. Well, for the people that are listening, and want to hear more of what you have to say, where can people find you? Where can people find your coaching?
I love when people reach out to me on Instagram. I'm super approachable on there. I send video messages back. I send audio messages, but I don't have the time to film videos. But I like to start up conversations on IG. So if you wish to find me on there, Ed Stulak, EDSTULAK. So if you can find me on there, you can probably find me everywhere else. TikTok, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, you name it.
Awesome. Well, I really appreciate you taking the time to talk to me today.
Thank you for the love and support. I'm glad that I got to be on the show and chit chat a little bit about what I personally love talking about all the time. So thank you for that.
I really want to thank Ed for taking the time to talk with us. And I agree that to be successful in real estate, you have to focus on building your personal brand. So once again, if you think you or somebody else on your team has an awesome story or a tip to share with our community, send us a message at feedback@smartagents.com. Well, that wraps things up for this episode, but remember, follow the show wherever you listen to podcasts and make sure to subscribe to the Smart Agents YouTube channel. Again, I'm Michael Walter, and we'll see you on the next episode.